Alright, listen up. If you're a controller player in Halo Infinite and are launching on Steam, you need to watch these 5 tips to help make sure that your aim assist is working to its full potential. Today's video is 5 quick tips for general controller and UI settings in Halo Infinite that will help take your game to the next level. If any of these tips helped you out, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and let me know if these helped your game in the comments below. Our first tip is going to be launching the game in big picture mode. So if you go to your Steam, I'm in my library right now, but you can launch from any screen. You see here big picture mode. It's next to like the minimize and the window and the close. This is going to launch your game in big picture mode, which is basically launching Steam in a different way, right? So I'm going to hit big picture mode. It's going to launch us in big picture mode. We're going to go to library and then you can launch your game from here. Now, the reason you want to do this is because there's currently a bug in the game where when you're on the main screen, when you get to this loading screen right here, I'm going to launch the game and I'll show you guys. So we're going to get through this. As you can see at the bottom right there, it popped up that it read my controller as the input, which means that the game is recognizing that my controller is my input, even though my mouse and keyboard are plugged in. I've seen a lot of people say to get around this bug, unplug your mouse and keyboard, all this other stuff. You don't have to do all that. Launch in big picture mode, and I haven't had this problem since. So as we see here, I'm going to press A on my controller. I'm not touching my mouse and keyboard, and we're in. It's only registered my controller this entire time, and now we're in. We've launched that way. We launched in big picture mode. I've heard some people having issues with crashing and things like that, and this has kind of been other people's solution to that as well. I've had some friends who put on big picture mode and they haven't crashed since. So maybe launching out of big picture mode is just fixing whatever the problem is. Hopefully 343 can get it fixed up soon, but in the meantime, this is our workaround. Now that I've launched in big picture mode, I won't be losing my aim assist. So if that's a bug that you've been having, launching in big picture mode will definitely help. That's going to bring me to our second tip. We're going to be turning off the dead zones on our controller in Steam. You're in big picture mode here. You're going to go up to the settings cogwheel. We're going to go down to controller settings, down to Xbox One controller or whatever controller you have in. Then I'm going to go down to the calibrate there. So I'm going to hit calibrate, and as you can see, this is default. This is what it is automatically on Steam. Anytime you plug in a controller on Steam and you don't mess with the calibrations or anything like that, this is what it's going to look like. So for me, I turn these completely off. I want my stick to be as responsive as possible. When I turn left, I want it to turn left. When I look right, I want it to look right. I'm going to turn these all the way off, and when you do that, this helps a lot in game with the aim assist and the sticking and things like that. You won't be overshooting. A lot of the times, like when I was aiming at people before I did this setting, I'd be kind of stuck to them, and then I would move my stick a little too much to the left, and it would rocket off to the left or the right, and instead of just barely moving. So that's what this setting is really going to help with. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off, and then we can go back. We're going to go to our library and we can launch our game from here. So tip number 3 is going to be finding an FOV that you enjoy. So right now I'm in the training mode where you can pick up the rifle and you have the 3 different categories to train. Right now this is what 75 FOV is, and that's going to be your base default FOV when you launch the game. This is what it looks like. As you can see, I have to turn right if I want to see anything over here, and I have to turn left if I want to see anything over here. When I do that, it cuts off that whole field of view from the right. We're going to up it a little bit, up it to 95, and you're going to see a pretty big difference here. Now I can see everything in front of me, right? And I haven't moved. So once again, here is your 75. Here's our 95. So as you can see, it makes a huge difference upping that FOV. You get to see a lot more. You get a lot more information. If you're on PC, I'm not sure about consoles if you all can go up to 120. I believe you can, but don't quote me on that. We're going to go up to a 110. And we can see even more. Now, you can see, though, that things are starting to look like they're getting further away. That is kind of the trade-off, right? The higher the FOV, the further things and enemies are going to seem. The lower the FOV, the closer things and enemies are going to seem. I personally play on 120, and here's why. When I play on 120, as you can see, I have a lot more view. I have a closer view here on the right. I have a closer view here on the left. This is just me looking forward. I can see everything in front of me on my screen. When I pick up my rifle here, my crosshair is actually going to look a lot smaller too. So I'm just going to turn here, and then we're going to turn our FOV down again. So let's go back down to that 95. And as you can see, the crosshair seems a lot larger. Now I'm going to go back to that 120. And then here's a side-by-side comparison of those two on the FOVs. So me personally, I really like the feel of a tighter crosshair. I feel like I hit more shots. I just recently started playing on this last night. I feel like a much better player now. I get more information. I get into these fights that are just, I don't think I would be getting them if I was still playing on my 95 FOV that I started on. At first, I thought maybe having that bigger crosshair and, making people's bodies bigger, I would hit more shots, but realistically, I hit more shots this way. I think personally for me, 120 feels the best, but at the end of the day, it's what you're comfortable with. I would definitely suggest trying out all different FOVs and just really getting a feel for what is like the best for you, right? That's my tip. Find your FOV that you're comfortable with. Don't just do it for one game and turn it off like I was for a while. Give it some time, really mold into it. So our next step is going to be changing the enemy UI color or the accessibility color to something that's a little easier for you to see. For me, the default, the red, it just wasn't really doing it for me. I don't know what it was, but I was kind of losing sight of things a lot. So I personally play on Pineapple. I think Pineapple is this really nice, darker, bright yellow that you can see a bit more. I'll restart the drill here real quick so you can see the difference. So he's got this like yellow, and there's something about the way the shield breaks on the Pineapple that I really like. I feel like I can just track it a lot more since I can't change my crosshair color. This was like the best one that I've seen. I've seen a lot of people playing on this and a few other colors. This again is going to be that preference. If you feel like maybe the default red's not really doing it for you, I would suggest trying out just a different enemy outline color. It really helps me out. You can change your friendly UI color as well if you didn't know. If you have a hard time seeing your teammates through like walls and things like that or anything, you can actually change it. Me personally, I don't really mind the blue. It doesn't really bother me. I don't feel like I have trouble finding my teammates or knowing where my teammates are at on the map. Our last tip for this video is going to be finding a sensitivity that really feels comfortable for you. I would suggest trying this. I know a lot of people have been having issues with center dead zones and turning and things like that in Halo Infinite, and this is kind of what I have found. I watched Flamesword's video and it made so much sense. Go check it out. He does a much better job at explaining this stuff in depth. He's been a Halo pro forever. He's insane. But this is kind of what I landed on for me. Look acceleration 4, look sense, and horizontal and vertical is going to be 5.5 for me. Just a beautiful in between. Since I play on 120 FOV, I upped the look accel up to 4. I was playing on 3 when I was on 95, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Depending on your FOV, you might need to change this look acceleration up because the larger your field of view is, the more you're going to have to turn or you're going to want to turn. Don't be afraid to turn that look accel up just a little bit. And something else that you can keep in mind that is completely and specifically preference is changing the zoom sensitivity. So if you wanted to change the scope of your VR, I think that's the only one that really needs to be fine-tuned on controller at least. 2.5x is going to be your VR zoom, and I have mine at 0.8. I really like having a little bit slower. Usually if I'm in that long range fight, I don't have to track the strafe as much as I would if someone was doing something crazy like crouch spamming or doing like the circle spam. So 0.8 on my 2.5, but again, that's preference. But if that's something that you all wanted to change, it's going to be in zoom sensitivity on this little drop down menu, and you can change it per optic setting. So that will be wrapping up our quick 5 tips on how to improve that UI and controller settings in Halo Infinite. Maybe make that controller feel a little more reactive, feel that aim assist really stick. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. We're almost to 200 subscribers, which is so insane. So please, if the video helped you at all, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Thank you.